ninth-round pick out of the Citadel in 1981, Stump carved out a successful NFL career with the Cardinals.
He's strong. He can move. He was agile. He can make guys miss. He had it all. He had everything in the game.
In Cardinals franchise history, only Larry Fitzgerald has more all-purpose yards.
He did it all, man.
Be seen, get verified, get recruited. You put in the work every day. Now make sure college coaches can find you. With Recruit Runner, you can create a free athlete profile built for recruiting. Upload highlights, stats, transcripts, photos, social links, and camp info all in one place. Coaches can search by sport, position, class year, and state to discover athletes like you fast. Signing up is free. Getting started is easy. Your recruiting exposure starts today. Want to stand out even more? Upgrade to Verified for just $7.99 a month or $59.99 a year to build trust and boost your visibility. Recruit Runner. Run your recruitment.
Hello, everyone. I want to welcome the world to Stump Talk Podcast, Running Back University, April 28th, 2026. This is episode 25, sponsored by Recruit Runner. You just saw a wonderful commercial. Athletes, run your recruitment. Go sign up. We do all sports. It's www.recruitrunner.com. SSRR, as we say, Stump, Sapphire, Russ, and Roe. The panel, we're here. How's everyone doing?
Excellent.
Pretty good.
You know I'm happy.
Tuesdays is a great day during the season. It's Sundays and college football Saturdays, but I never thought Tuesday would be a special day. Today is going to be Stump's flu game. He's feeling a little under the weather, Coach, but you look better than ever. You could have fooled me. So thank you for joining us, Coach. Of course, we got the NFL draft, the Cleveland Browns draft under our GM, Andrew Berry. We have Andrew Kuiper here and Russell Johnson, our draft analyst, and Andrew Berry all in one, our GM. So I want to open up right away. We're going to go left from right. I want to start with Russ this week. Please give the Cleveland Browns a draft grade based on what we just saw this past weekend.
Solid A. I give them a solid A. Top to bottom, round 1 through round 7. I think Andrew Berry did what he had to do. He got good players and filled positions of need.
Russ is giving them an A. Coach Stump, what do you give them?
I'll give them the same. I'll give them an A. I mean, I like everything that they did this year. It seems like they knew what they needed to do. They've been doing it all season, fixing that offensive line. They still went in the draft and got some, and then they got some receivers and also, a safety. So I think all in all, they did a fantastic job. And then at the end in the 6th round, to be able to get Taylor Green, I think is outstanding because he has such a great upside, And 6th round picks, Donovan Peoples-Jones, my main one when I was there, have done a pretty good job when given the opportunity there in Cleveland.
Sapphire?
Well, I will agree with both gentlemen. However, there's no A in sports to me until I get that ring. So I'm going to give him an A minus. And the little area I just would wish that they had done was maybe take a tight end a little higher, but I think he owned that. But I'm very pleased. I'm so happy. Like this, in addition to the moves they made in free agency, it's just such an exciting time of the year for me.
I'm going to let you guys handle this, but I'll give them a B minus. I thought, as Sapphire just said, you got to show me the product on the field. I'm not into mythical wins, And the other thing, I thought when Caleb Downs became available, Coach Stump talked about this in the past, the Travis Hunters of the world. I don't think certain players you don't let them slide, and I think Caleb Downs is going to be a generational player for Dallas and maybe a 10-year guy, and you don't let a guy like that slide through. Going back to the draft, Russ, when you were watching at your watch party at the office,
Hmm.
when they picked Fano, the offensive tackle out of Utah, your initial thoughts? I know as we walked through the draft, you were kind of in the beginning rounds, you weren't that happy.
No, I was not. I was not happy. But 24 hours later, after some misinformation that I was picking up out there in the streets, I was cool with it. I was all Tate. Once Tate was off the board, I was like, hey, well, with the best player available. That's what I stood on, best player available. Um, I'm cool with Fano because I found out, he was freshman All American at left tackle. They had it in their plans to play him at left tackle, and uh, he had the best feet in the draft, won the Outland Trophy. So I mean, at this point, throw him out there, see what you can do. He's going up against the best in the league in training camp. So we'll see what he's made of early.
Coach, Coach Stump, you mentioned in our group text that you thought maybe uh, Andrew Berry had a habit of picking linemen who were a little light in the ass, for lack of better words. What are your thoughts on the overall on some of the linemen that they attained?
Well, I think uh, you know he learned some from his mistakes. I think George Warhawk and Todd Monken, even though this is Todd's first year as a head coach, I think, and I don't know this, but I think Todd's demeanor in the meetings in which he had with Andrew Berry, they kind of put down what they wanted in players. And I think Andrew listened a little more this year. I don't know that. That's just the feel I get.
Sapphire, I think the pick for Boston on day two brought you to tears.
Yes.
You
Listen,
were getting
gentlemen, I se-
emotional.
I sequestered myself for 3 days. I'm not even making this up. I didn't want to talk to nobody. I checked on my parents, checked on my family. They understood. I just wanted to be left alone. Yes, I was doing cartwheels. And I wanted to go back to something real quick that Coach just said. I too had the same feeling. Like AB, he got it. And this is a moment for me to also say there is such value in wisdom. Okay? Everyone's dinging on the man about 60 years old, his first opportunity, like all of his collective body of work and his wisdom. It's intangible. The value is intangible. So I have the same feeling that AB caught that. And then Russ, real quick, yes, listen, 2025 Outland Trophy winner, unanimous All American, and most importantly, Polynesian College Football Player of the Year. Like Spencer Fano is plug and play. He's ready to go.
Russ, I want to go back to the second pick at 24, Casey Concepcion from Texas A&M. There are reports out there on his drop passes. He's not a really big kid. Even for me, I would like them to have, like for them to draft Boston with that pick. The kid looks like he has breakaway speed. I don't know if he's going to be another Hill or one of those type of game breakers. How do you feel about the kid KC Concepcion with that second pick?
I like his break tackle ability. We needed an explosive player, and AB attacked it like how he'll attack defenses. He attacked that pick because he knew if he didn't take KC, who was a big time playmaker, right there he would have been gone. I think Philly actually probably should have took him over Makai Lemon. Makai Lemon probably was the bigger name at that point, but KC is super explosive. He had 7 drops on a year, which I think they were kind of pre-draft blowing it out of proportion a little bit. When you look back at Zay Flowers, his last year in college, he had 9 drops. So overall, when you look at wide receivers, a lot of times concentration drops. He's looking at the defender, looking, to make his cut. So he'll drop the ball. There wasn't drops that I didn't notice that were like coverage drops. They were more like concentration drops. I think he gives you a little bit of what maybe he might be a poor man's Jamar Chase in the Browns offense. You know what I'm saying? He has that breakaway ability. He can come in some drag routes and some slant routes, and he has it where he can take it to the house. So I thought it was a great pick at that point.
Coach Stump, back to
Well,
you.
he
Go
also
ahead.
gives you some special teams returnability, right, Russ? So,
Yes,
I
punt
mean,
return. Yes,
you attack two things there with him. They needed a returner last year. They definitely it was definitely a problem, special teams for the Browns. So they attacked two players.
and
I mean,
one.
two positions with that one player.
Right.
I want to ask anyone on the panel, was KC Concepcion, was he projected as a pick that high before the draft? 'Cause he didn't hit my radar.
He was a top 30 pick on everybody's board, and he was projected to the Browns on a lot of mocks that I looked at 24. So he was right in line.
Coach Stump, I want to go back to you regarding the draft that they just had. Um, what are the chances? How do you plug in a day one starter coming out of college? I know some of them are no brainers like the Miles Garrett's of the world, but you think these kids are going to be day one starters for the Browns?
Yeah, some of them will. I believe Casey Concepcion will. I don't know if they really want Fano to be one. They're hoping Dewan Jones will come in and be the type of player that they think he could be when they drafted him. I mean, I saw his body look like he's lost some weight. I know Todd Monken and George Warhoppin, the assistant O line coach, they're going to stay on him. So, but the thing with Dewan, they moved him to left tackle role. He really don't want to be a left tackle. Russ, he really want to play right tackle. That's
Okay.
Coach Callahan ended up moving him over to left, and of course he was there last year. But
Right.
Juan really wants to be a right tackle. But we'll see what they do, how he buy in with Coach Warhop and his assistant, and of course with Coach Monken. Coach Monken is
I,
going to do what's best for the team.
I think first impression they're going to throw Fano in there at left tackle and let Dewan be the swing tackle.
6'5", 311. Rets to go.
Uh, uh, who's 6'5"?
Mr.
Who's the
Fano.
measurement?
Mr.
Yeah.
Fano.
Yes, his lateral slides ain't don't look too good though. That's not fire. But so, with that being said, I think the other kid I want to ask you about was the safety out of Toledo. I think he projected first rounder as well that they got out after the first
Yes,
round.
he was. Yeah, he was. He was a projected top 20. A lot of mocks had him top 20, but he was anywhere from I would say 18 to 32.
The round out the offensive line, they got Austin Barber out of Florida in round three, and then they picked up two tight ends. Ended up with a tight end out of BYU and another out of Cincinnati. Coach, I want to ask you this before we go to Sapphire. You think they plugged and played in the personnel to appease the offensive top monkey wants to run?
Well, you got to do that. I mean, it's all about Deshaun, Shador, Gabriel, and the quarterbacks. So you got to give those guys some tar- targets. I think they did, like I said, they tried to fix that offensive line during the off season and free agency, and also during the draft. So I thought they did a good job in with the receivers and tight.
Sapphire, they got the center. I forgot about him out of Alabama. Besides the safety that they got out of Toledo, do you think they should have addressed any other needs on the defensive side of the ball at all?
No, I don't. I think for me, because I look at the statistics for last year with the Browns offense, and points per game, yards per game, passing yards per game, rush yards per like we are like no better than 27. So for me, the priority was to address the needs on the offensive side. I do like the pick out of Toledo in terms of pipeline, and as coach has taught me consistently the value of developing your young players. So when you need to call on them, it's not on the job training. So I can't tell you enough how satisfied I am with this draft.
Can I talk about the pick from Toledo?
Yeah, yeah.
Please.
So we go back to our last show, pre-draft. Remember, I was ready to take him at 24. So that's where I had him projected in my mind. I love Caleb Downs, but I think he's a better fit for our defense because they can put him in the three safety lineup and play him either in the box or you can slide him deep, and they can shade coverage, like disguise it. So when they're rushing, Miles coming off that edge and he's distracting the quarterback, you don't know who's
Mhm.
where. You know what I mean? And and it has in his size, he's almost 6'4". You know what I mean? And you look at Caleb Downs, he's closer to 5'11", 5'10", 5'11". So he can make up a lot of ground in that secondary.
I think it's safe to say, and coach, you were inside the locker room. Us outside the locker room, it's probably been the most optimistic I've seen Browns fan. I'm even keeled. I'm waiting for. I'm not on the mountaintop with them, so I won't fall as hard as they will. But until we get a product on the field that's going to win games. But back to you, Russ.
Yeah.
What is your evaluation? Do we have to make the playoffs this year to make this draft combined with last year's draft a success?
Nope, nope. I don't think so. I think progress. We just want to see progress from Stefanski era. Guys not making the same mistakes. Guys lined up right, scoring points. I think just if we can just be competent, not turn the ball over, the penalties, we're going to win 8 or 9 games easy. Just not doing the dumb stuff. This actually, I'm a Barry supporter, of course. This is the first draft I've seen in I think Browns history where I didn't question a pick. I was like, who is that guy? Or why would you do that? The first draft in my life where I looked at it in a Browns draft and didn't question the pick. I thought he kind of everything was on point.
Uh, Coach, I want to go to you. And based on what you said, Russ, we're supposed to make the playoffs. I mean, we rushed the draft, and we're going to settle
Stuff
for not
happens.
making the
Stuff
playoffs.
happens. You never know. Stuff happens. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to put bad mojo on anybody, but things happen in a season.
Coach, what's your thoughts? Should the Browns make the playoffs to make this draft to consider it a success, or how do you feel about that?
Not only the draft, but the coaching staff. I mean, I think it started there. You all know I was big time hoping Coach Schwartz could still be there, but Coach Monken as well, because I thought Coach Schwartz. This was the first year Miles Garrett had more sacks in any single season than he did under Joe Woods. So it took some time for Coach Schwartz to get everything down and nice. If they had any type of offense, they would have made the playoffs and probably won the division this past year. But they didn't have any at all. So I truly do expect the Browns to win the division. I'm happy for them because those guys, I mean, a bunch of new guys on the offensive line, but there's still some guys there that bust their butt, man, and during Stefanski's time, and things just didn't happen. I mean, Mr. Haslam's when Miles Garrett requested an interview with him, a meeting with him, he told him no, deal with Andrew. You know, he said there's some things Miles got to get better at in terms of being a leader and all of this stuff. But you give him 40 million a year. That lets you know under Stefanski, there was no respect, none whatsoever. And there were a few guys like that. So you can only take them so far if they know the head coach is just going to allow them to do pretty much whatever they want to do. That's not going to fly with Coach Monken. He would lose his job before he not allow those guys to get the most out of their talent. And that's all as a coach you want to get the most out of a guy's talent. So he's going to make guys work. He's going to hold them accountable, which they were not held accountable for the most part.
Sapphire, we're in the middle here. Russ is okay with us going 3-16,
I
and
didn't
coach
say
is
that.
saying,
I didn't say that.
oh, man, I heard that
I
wrong.
didn't say that. I didn't say that.
And then Coach Stump is in belief that we have some pieces in place to get us to win the division. Where do you stand, Sapphire?
I stand, fingers crossed, no injuries right now at 9-7 when I look at the schedule. But I don't know that that gets us into the playoffs. That's why I see right now. I have to do some more analysis, but in this moment, that's where I'm living.
See, I didn't want to say that word, Sapphire. I didn't want to say that. That's why I said I'm not gonna put in bad mojo. Me and Coach Stump, we in the same boat. I think they could win the division next year. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? Barring anything crazy. I think it's enough talent. And we didn't speak on the special teams. The special teams will be better because they brought in some guys who we won't have the lapses with giving up punt returns, kick returns for touchdowns. And with KC, we have a returner. So we might get a punt return touchdown this year.
Coach Stump, I want to go back to you and ask you about uh, setting the tone this time of year with OTAs and looking at the summer that's coming up, getting the draft picks, the practice. And Maria, I want to ask you, do you set the mind state earlier? Because my thought process, you guys, if we're not going to win it all and be the best, I don't even want to show up to work. I don't understand this whole we're going to be all right. I mean, we got all these early morning meetings, and you got to listen to Coach Stump yelling at you, and the end result is not going to be the Super Bowl. I'm not even coming. So, Coach, I want to ask you, do you have conversations with? I mean, isn't the goal to win the Super Bowl? I mean, just having an all right season, is that the focus going in the training camp?
Well, that's always the goal of all 32 teams to win the Super Bowl. But I mean, like, we got to be realistic. You got to take some steps. Seattle was was very fortunate. They were blessed because they got Sam Darnold, a guy that was productive, and then they had a defense. Okay, Sam didn't eliminate what he did in college. He threw interceptions in college, but he could make all throws. He was a good, just a great leader. So he did eliminate the interceptions to the point that they weren't very detrimental to the team. So uh, I think Todd Monken and his staff, they're all about business. Unfortunately, a lot of those players that were there last year on the offensive line, they are not there. They would have loved to have experience uh, playing under Todd Monken and his staff.
And so Russ, looking at the culmination, we basically have a brand new offensive line. Do you really feel like they're going to have time to gel? Maybe Coach will have some insight on that, but are they going to have time to gel? I mean, you still have to, go through that whole process, as Coach said. Um, do you expect that offensive line to have success early?
Well, that's up to the offensive line coach. I think Chicago did it last year with an all new offensive line, and they put it together and they won with 12 games last year. So all those guys are pros except for the three rookies they're bringing in, and only one is expected to start. So they should have enough practices. I think they can put it together pretty quick.
Yes, and a couple of those guys I think played have a relationship with Coach Warhol,
Hmm.
so they've been in the system. Uh, they know what to do.
I want to go back to you, Russ. Just my thoughts and Sapphire. I want to hear what you have to say about this, but the overall draft just seemed to have a lot of quality. Like when you watch the draft, it didn't seem like anybody had a bad draft. I don't know. I don't know if these kids are getting better and bigger and stronger and smarter. But when I looked at the draft, like man, that kid looks good too. All the kids
Mhm.
looked overall to have a higher quality than past drafts that I've paid attention to. Is some truth to that, Russ?
Well, yeah, this is an older draft with the NIL and the end of the COVID era of players. You got this is like the highest age group coming into the draft. I think it might be ever, but I know definitely in the last probably 30, 40 years. You have fewer like 3 year players from college coming in. So you get a lot of experience. I noticed some teams who didn't have good drafts, but they won't talk about it nationally because they want to give all fans that spirit like oh your team was halfway good in the draft. But I think the Browns, couple teams did pretty good. I noticed the Dolphins. To speak on them real quick, they picked about I think they had about 14 draft picks because they traded away all their good players. But I think they had a pretty good draft based on the volume of picks.
Coach, can you remember in prior drafts? Again, this is just something I noticed that really stuck out was the amount of linemen that were getting drafted. Is that normal?
Yeah, I think it's normal. Maybe everybody realize what runs an offense and what runs a team. To tell you the truth, you got to have somebody to be able to fight those edge rushers that's coming off from a defensive standpoint because everybody's trying to get pass rushers, offensive linemen. You got to have them, and normally or usually you're going to lose one or maybe two at some point in time during the year. Maybe if not for the whole year, for an extended period of time.
Sapphire, did the Browns have the best draft in the NFL this year?
I think I would rank the Browns draft in the top 3. I think I would definitely do that. And I want to go back to something you had asked Russ about. I also think that as a result of NIL and these young men like getting agents earlier, being taught the value of like like analytics, what's important, what pro level teams are looking for, starting them early in the process is another reason why we are seeing the depth of talent come out of the draft. It's different than when I was a little girl. It's a business now, and these kids are on point. Did you see Mendoza's LinkedIn commercial?
Yeah,
I mean, oh, yeah. Yeah, he's not using the what is it, Instagrams or whatever. He's using LinkedIn. I mean, that was made before he was, even drafted. So I just think that's a lot of it too.
Coach, I want you to expound on that. You being at the Citadel, you think that some of the kids, because you actually told me, they're getting away from the high schools and kind of going towards the portal to bring kids in. Do you see a shifting of having older kids on campus at practice compared to some years ago?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there were no day students when I got here. Everybody was a cadet. But now, you have guys that are day students, guys that just want an opportunity. So here at the Citadel, it's all about an opportunity. It's about situational football. You bring guys in here that's 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", as a wide receiver. They got to be a first or a second down guy. I mean, some of those guys should be uh, getting 10 targets a game. You don't get stuck on a system. You get stuck uh, with matchups. Matchups win games for you. And football now is situational football. Your scheme has to be as such.
if
Coach,
I
I
can,
want go
let
ahead,
me
go ahead, bro.
real quick, if I can expound on what Sapphire was talking about with the NIL and the business. All these football teams like pro teams. You know what I'm saying? They run it. The major universities, they have general managers now. It's not just the head coach. So the players are, what I'm saying, coming in that mentality. Like, you got your NIL, you're getting paid. So it's when you move to the NFL, you are already conditioned in business and being an pro athlete. And now the governors are looking at that and they're proposing to stop eligibility at 5 years, no matter what. So it'll get back in line with what the NFL is used to, somewhat.
Coach, I want to ask you, in Russ, the kid Love that came out of Notre Dame. You guys know Stump is still the second all-time leading rusher for the Cardinals.
Yes.
I'll throw that in
He
there in
made
case you
that
guys.
clear. He made that clear in our chat group.
I'm gonna say it again next episode too. But Coach, what's your
Yeah.
prediction with the kid Love down the line? I know that you can't predict the career. You and Anderson are folklore, and some of the and Connors is on the list. But you being at number 2, what's your prediction with the Love kid out of Notre Dame for the Cardinals?
I love love. I think if he can stay healthy and talented and get that second contract, no question, he's a guy who looks like he can be a Hall of Famer. I mean, he can do it all. Uh, Catch the ball out of the backfield, from the backfield, or you can move him out in the slot or out wide. He can do it all, and I love love.
Russ, what other teams or other picks that you thought stood out that we'll be talking about years from now, looking back on this draft? What hit your radar?
Um, I like Love too going to the Cardinals. I like Tate going to the Titans. Other than that, let me see. Not too many other players. I think everything else was kind of in line. You really can't project the defensive players like you would want to. But I thought the Giants did, pretty good with getting Arvell Reese
Absolutely.
and CC my Maui Noah. I thought those were that was a good 1-2 punch.
You know what? And I want to talk about that. Something we missed, you guys. Sapphire, the Tate going to the Titans, I thought sent a earthquake type shift in the draft because no, I don't know if anybody predicted Tate to go to the Titans, but I know the Browns probably had him as their guy, and I read a report where that kind of actually ended up helping the Browns because Barry had to pivot,
Yep.
and then they moved back to get Fano, and then we still got our players. So, were you surprised to see Tate land with the Titans?
I mean, I wasn't, and I actually heard the 180-degree opposite of what you just said. I heard that I just listened to an interview today that AB had this so planned out that when people saw him be drafted by Tennessee, they actually in the war room looked at AB and said, "That's a good thing, right?" And his response was, "Yes, it was." He had Fano right in his sights. That was going to be his first pick, and that's what my understanding was. And I'm so thankful he did that. By the way, thank
I
you for
think
that offensive
Kansas.
tackle.
I think Kansas City reached and they basically threw the Browns an alley oop because
Mm.
Delane would have been there had they, not traded.
I want to say hello to our guest, Rich DeSecker, tuned in early. Our Browns backer president out here in T County, Jen Victoria. Our favorite here, George Mallory, our other favorite, always tuning in. Thank you, everyone with your wonderful comments. Coach Stump, I want to go back. I know this is your flu game, but you're doing so good.
He's doing the Michael Jackson. I'm not Michael Jackson. Michael Jordan. Excuse me.
Definitely, definitely. Coach, Andrew Berry. Let's go back to him. He's nailed 2 drafts. And I think one thing that's going under the rug, you guys, with media across the board in Northeastern Ohio, specifically in Cleveland, D. Podesta. I think he's almost like a cat burglar. He came into town. I don't even know what the guy looks like. And he came into town and he robbed the jewels and took precious stones and he crept out at night. He hasn't gotten any blame. He hasn't had to take any interviews, any flack. I haven't heard anyone hold him to any accountability whatsoever. Coach Stump, what are your thoughts there?
I'm not exactly sure what his role was when he was there with the Browns. Was he just an advisor? Uh, Pretty much that's my role. That's my role here with the and facility.
Hmm.
I think I got some good advice. I hope our offensive coordinator will listen to it. It's just suggestions, but they're suggestions from a lot of knowledge, from and a lot of experience, not just experienced by me, but experienced by others. That you don't make the mistakes they did, or you do things that they did that allow them to be successful.
Russ, I want you to take that D Podesta. I mean, Barry just became a drafting guru just all of a sudden in 2 years.
Hmm.
What do you think is going on there?
I think he's learned from his mistakes, and I think D. Podesta had a lot of influence over free agents, over the draft, over contracts, over stadium location. I think he was kind of tentacles on everything. Definitely the draft, because as he was easing, they were easing his position out. You just saw better personnel decisions. So I think AB kind of had it in him. He kind of had the training wheels on the first couple years, and now it's with some of the people he have under him. I think Catherine Hickman, um, I can't remember his assistant GM, but I think they all did a great job. And I think and they're working together versus I think before that they were kind of working apart, like pulling different. Somebody might have wanted him, and then with the Watson situation, and we really don't know all of it, but I think AB with first round picks, he's been pretty good.
Hmm.
Is Glenn the assistant general manager?
Yes, that's what I'm thinking about. Yes, Glenn.
I want us to go over, and coach, you were very high on Taylor Green. I personally did. I wasn't aware of the kid. The 6'6", 4'3", maybe the next Terrell Pryor coach. Looking at our quarterback room with Dylan and Shador and Watson and the quarterback competition coming up, you were pleased to see that they grabbed this guy. Looks like in the sixth round at pick 182. What are your predictions and Russ, we'll go back to you. What are your predictions on what will that quarterback room boil down to be uh, come come opening day? Russ?
Quarterback room. Shador 1, Watson 2,
Ooh.
Green 3, Gabriel somewhere else.
Somebody, Gabriel, there's a great fishing hole out here in T County. Coach Dump, what are
He'll
your
be, hey,
thoughts?
he'll be a good backup for somebody, but I just don't think with this team.
I think it's Deshaun, Shador, Gabriel, and then Green. I think Green is a long term solution, but if given the opportunity, he gets out there right now and makes stuff happen. It could flip that for Gabriel. But
But
I
before
go
I
ahead,
would
go.
say before Sapphire goes, I want to hear her input on that as well. Green with getting KC on the roster and drafting him, you can eliminate all those. You remember we would bring in a punt returner, specialized punt returner every year. Now you can get rid of that position. You can put Green as a fixture as a third quarterback, and you can actually dress him every and make him your gadget quarterback on
Mm,
Sundays.
okay, okay. Well, I'm going to agree with Coach, but I'm going to put an asterisk next to Dylan Gabriel because I don't think he's going to be here. I don't think he would want to not be in a position where he felt like he could not compete. So I expect him to find another opportunity somewhere else. And that would leave us with three QBs on our active roster. And then maybe them looking for, someone to put on the, what is it, the practice squad or the
Practice squad.
developmental? Yeah. So it's kind of my story.
You mean compete from a talent standpoint?
To be the starting quarterback coach.
Well, I think those guys are going to have to go out and do some things. I think Gabriel uh, is all of those quarterbacks are going to get better under Todd Monken. That's including Gabriel. So I don't think it's a closed case on him. Size has not been the biggest thing for Coach Monken when it comes to quarterbacks. Whatever package he get him in, he gets them to produce.
So it'll be interesting to see because I'd like to be proved wrong that he can throw down the field or on the run.
I saw some reports that Stefanski may be trying to acquire Dylan services. It wasn't from ESPN or anything, so I don't want to make that a fact. But I did see the
Mm.
rumblings of that. So Russ, are you happy with the totality of our quarterback room?
Um, I'm I'm content. I wouldn't say happy. I'm content with the quarterback room. I do like Green. Well, me and Coach Stone, we talked about that guy. So I thought he was definitely a get. I put him on a lot of my mock drafts. It'll be exciting. Training camp, preseason games to see what he does.
Coach Stump, when do we really are we really able to make a correct evaluation on this draft? At what point can we say, okay, that was a great draft because right now it's everything speculation till they start playing, right?
Absolutely. Not until they start playing the real games. But the good thing about it, they're for the most part are in line with every team except for Cincinnati. All the other teams in the division got new head coaches as well. So I mean, I just got after working with Coach Monken for a year, I just have all the respect in the world for him and what he did with those offensive players when he was the OC for Freddie Kitchens.
I want to say hello to Mike Buchanan, who's joined one of our fans and for the Browns. So you guys, I think we all can agree that this was a good draft.
Great.
Uh,
Great.
some of us are more optimistic than others. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer or bah humbug, but
Got you. I got you.
there's other teams out there. Coach always talks about that. The other teams are working hard. They showing up to
Hmm.
practice and they got plans to win as well. They're going to show up on
Yes.
Sunday. One of the other notable, Mendoza went number one. Uh, do you think that there was possibly anyone on our panel that anyone could have went number one besides Mendoza, or was that was just
That
a
was
short game?
that was locked in stone.
As soon as he won that championship game, led his team to victory. That was it.
Yep, yep.
Mendoza is a special young man, in my opinion. I mean, he can throw the ball. He's got great leadership. He can run if need be. Ball placement is excellent. I think he's going to definitely do some things for the Raiders, even though they need some other parts. But I think he's going to do a heck of a job. Bro, we got George Mallory. He want to know how do they figure out who's the number one dog. If he's talking about quarterbacks, I think they play. You give those guys, and when I say those guys, we're talking about Deshaun and Shador. You give those guys an opportunity to see who can better lead the team. I know in terms of a runner, Deshaun is more physical than Shador. Uh, Ball placement, both of them throw the ball pretty dang on good. Shador, of course, this will be the first time that he's really being coached to do the things and being held accountable to do the things that the quarterback needs to do. That's all Coach Monken is going to preach. He's going to look on the board, see who moves the team, and see who he have to say less things to about doing the right thing.
Let me ask you a quick question, Coach. The reports during the off season have been pretty consistent that Shador has been down the street, working out, engaging with the coaches. I don't know if Deshaun has come up here during the off season, but how much from a coaching perspective do you feel that is going to impact the decision to name a number one?
Well, this is the thing, just like Coach Monken said, he don't know if they can, but if he can get Deshaun back to where he was, he's got a hell of a player.
Mm.
He's got the same player more so in Deshaun that he has in Lamar as opposed to Shador. So the game plan for the most part can pretty much stay the same. You have to change that with Shador. You're going to be more running back, carrying the ball, and passing as opposed to runs for Shador. That's not him.
Coach, quick follow-up question on that. Did he also explain what it was that differentiated, 100% Deshaun from Lamar Jackson? What were the things?
Uh, I think Deshaun probably throws the ball a little better than Lamar, even though Lamar is passing the ball. I think Deshaun is probably better in that aspect because he did it more so in college. Uh, Lamar did as well, but he ran the ball quite a bit. But both of those guys passed the ball pretty well. Now it's just about finishing. Lamar unfortunately haven't been able to finish games or playoff games. And it's not that he hadn't been able to finish it. He put the ball where he needed to be on a couple occasions, and he had some drops.
Yeah.
So I felt bad for that, but I think Todd is going to feel good with Deshaun.
Thank you.
I
I
think
think
go ahead, Russ.
I was gonna say I think Shador kind of showed he has some more mobile ability than we gave him credit for last year. I think if he can clean up his running backward, this what the mistakes he was making in college, if he can if Monkey can get him to clean that up, he could at least be a competent quarterback and get rid of the mistakes of throwing it in double coverage, throwing it running away from pressure. He could I think he can make a move and be that number one starting quarterback. But they're going to give him the opportunity because they need to know after this season where they're going future wise with the quarterback position. Do you invest long term with Shador? Or do you go first round quarterback next draft?
But
Well,
if Deshaun goes out there and perform the way that he's capable of performing and the way that he's performed in the past, now really you got a guy that's got some age, but not. I mean, he's had some surgeries, but he hadn't been. I don't know. I can say he had surgeries and say he hadn't beat up in the same vein, but uh, he hadn't played a whole lot of games.
I did see a report that Watson did not give an interview of some sort, and people took exception to that. I talked about this
Oh boy.
before. I think the kid, I love Watson, but he's a little detached on reading the
Yes.
room. That is for
Yes.
sure. Stump. There was reports that Shador has stayed in town during the offseason and he's gotten to know the city. He's done a lot of appearances. I know that doesn't necessarily equate to interceptions and touchdowns, but Shador is definitely the fan favorite. I don't see him beating out Watson just because he was at our pro level at this level, as you always reminded us. But Watson could use a PR coach. Stop by. He showed up to a homeless to contribute to the homeless. And he's in a $200,000 Maybach Sprinter van. I'm like, with a fur coat on, so I don't. Something's not ticking up there at the same time. However, the fan favorite is definitely Shador. Would you guys agree on that, Russ and Sapphire?
Absolutely. I think if you could give Shador's swag and just the way he's endearing to the fans, if you could give that to Watson, he wouldn't be in a problem. The hated person he is with the fans. You know what I mean? If he just endeared himself a little bit more from day one, it would have been completely different. Now fans would be cheering for him to come back off of those injuries versus let's get him out of town ASAP.
Sapphire?
I think I just feel like similar to politics, there's like identity politics, that this could be like identity fandom, because at the end of the day, they come from two different generations. Even though they're closer in age, they come from two different generations. So I mean, all Shador's life, he's come up in the spotlight and this whole thing with social media, and people identify with him. To Russ's point, what I think would go a long way for Deshaun's last year in Cleveland is if he just went out there and performed just the way that Coach Stump said he's capable of. Shut it
Yeah.
down.
I want to address one other thing, you guys. Us being an Ohio coach, there's a school down the street, there's the Ohio State Buckeyes. Might have heard of them, but they had 4 picks in the top 11. And then I think they end up with 9 guys drafted. I want to ask you this, Coach. I mean, I'm not a Ryan Day fan. I think he's arrogant and a little bit impersonal for my taste. These Ohio people know and appreciate that, but this is the way I kind of read the guy. But, Coach, for him to have 4 of the top picks out of 11 not win the national championship, is there anything there that you think he should be winning the national championship with the type of caliber of players he's getting in and year out down in Ohio State?
Yeah, but I mean, other people are as well. And you look at Indiana. Come on now. They just got guys from all over the place. Guys who, once they spoke to the head coach, it was the case was closed. They were going there. They were going to play for him, just like Mendoza. I think he's going to do a heck of a job in Las Vegas.
Russ, what do you think about the correlation of the amount of draft picks that went from Ohio State and given, uh, you know, we haven't won a national championship
Well,
in
when you look at the 3 of those 4 top picks were on defense, and the defense was lights out. It's hard to correlate year to year on a college level because you got guys coming in, going out, um, to match up everything. And when you look at Ohio State's deficiencies, it was at a freshman, basically a freshman quarterback. So had the year before when they won it, they had a senior transfer quarterback. It made a difference.
And the thing now, just like Russ said early on, you talk about Ryan Day, but in college, there's a general manager.
Yes.
So it's who's making that call?
Hmm.
You really don't want a freshman quarterback. Hell, Ryan Day wanted somebody else. Probably, I don't know that, but I'm just saying
He
you got to
actually
go out.
wanted he actually wanted because they had been using transfer quarterbacks the last couple of cycles. He actually wanted a quarterback that he could groom and play for him multiple seasons.
But was
So
he
that's
was he was he a redshirt freshman?
he was a redshirt freshman.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
originally was at Alabama and transferred.
yeah. So he had a year in college.
Mhm.
Sapphire, what's your thoughts on? Well, you're a Ryan Day fan.
No, not at all. And I really think for me, Matt Patricia and everything that he brought to that organization, his body of work, of course, includes the NFL. That's what to me really brought out the best in the defense. I've never really been a hardliner fan. I know Russ. I know. But Coach's point, like this is like pro level. It's like the JV version of pros. It's just like a phase in the pipeline. And I think though I'm still looking for Air Nolan, gentlemen. I'm sorry.
I don't know
I mean,
what happened.
Julian saying, come on.
Well,
I agree.
Nolan knew he wasn't gonna get any snaps, so he got
Exactly.
out of there. Yeah.
And why was that, Russ?
Well, I don't think he was as good as saying.
Saying is not the guy for me,
He
but
he he
No,
might he's
exactly.
not the guy, but I think Nolan had if he was that guy, I would have stayed. Look at St. Clair. Tavian St. Clair is his backup now, and he said I'm staying no matter what. Sometimes guys have to you got to put in your work, and a lot of these kids now they just say, oh, if I'm not starting, I'm going. I'm jumping the train and I'm going somewhere else. And I think they need to just stay and put in work.
I just go back to again, I'm living in my head with Coach Stump. To me, I don't think there's anything wrong with that because it's a business. It's capitalistic through and through. I mean, I could talk about this all day. I think that the Buckeyes had an opportunity to develop Air Noland, but there was some Mishigash involved. That's just no speculation. I looked at his height, the film on him, how he threw the ball, and I thought that, and then now we're with Julian saying, I don't know, it just didn't feel right to me. So
Mm. I think one thing about Ryan Day, yeah, we're not all fans, but I think he gives quarterbacks equal shot. Like if you're going, he lets the cream rise to the top on at every position. Yeah, I don't think he takes favorites. So I think Nolan just, I don't think he could cut it.
well, I hope that they worked on Sayan's mental because that to me is why we lost that championship game. I just think he flighted. That's
Yeah.
what I believe, right?
another
Just
another local pick, our guy Drew Aller from Medina, the Penn State quarterback, went to the Pittsburgh.
it's crazy.
I think that's going to be great for him and that family if he gets the opportunity there. He had a little bit of a tough college career, but seeing him
Yeah.
go to Pittsburgh and stay close to home is kind of cool.
But
He
tough
wasn't happy.
how? But tough how?
Say that again, Sapphire. I'm
But
sorry.
but but tough how?
What you saying was what you saying? I'm saying he was
You said
tough.
you said Aller had a tough.
Oh, he was projected. I mean, he got beat up at Penn State. He went through injuries. He couldn't win the big game. I mean, he started and he was there, but he really didn't have. They had a higher projection for him at Penn State when he was coming out of school.
Had he
Didn't realize
left,
he was a big quarterback. He had a great arm. He had all the
yeah.
tools. I mean, this guy was throwing 61 times in his high school games. He was a
Yeah.
gunner, and he came out of Penn State a little battered, and didn't he never he just had a tough time compared to his projections. That's all.
Had he left a year earlier, he would have been a first round pick. So
So when I listen to the experts break that down, and I want to harken back to what Coach Stumps has shared here tonight as it relates to Fernando Mendoza, those were the things that the analysts, the experts say were missing from Allard, why he dropped so low. Not just the injury, but the timing, his accuracy, and in the big game moments where he just seemed not to be there.
He's
I
struggling.
had Yeah, so it's interesting. I'm a huge Will Howard fan. I mean, we share an alma mater, by the way, and I really think he's a great system quarterback. And I'd like to see after they finish with whatever they're doing with Aaron Rodgers, how much PT, how much of an opportunity that they're going to
Will
give to
Howard,
him, man.
Will Howard and Drew and Dylan Gabriel will be in the same pigeonhole this
We'll
summer.
see. We're gonna see about that.
Sapphire might
I
need
think
back
Will
there.
Howard might I think Will Howard might end up being the starter there at the end of the day.
He's a
I
great
think so.
system quarterback. Just saying.
Closing thoughts, Stump. Great flu game. Any thoughts in your mind you want to give?
I thought the Browns did a good job. I think we'll see that on the field. Uh, and I think it's going to be a competitive battle at that quarterback position. You're going to see better play from everyone at that position. But I think at the end of the day, Deshaun is going to win out.
Russ, your final thoughts?
I'm excited. I want to see those receivers and how they're going to get worked into the offense with our young running backs and the young tight end. I want to see all these weapons get used. I have full faith in the defense. They're going to come out locked and loaded, and they'll be wet rested because the offense will finally be getting first downs and
Yes.
scoring points and moving the ball. And the special teams won't be dropping punts and giving up kickoff returns for touchdowns. So I'm enthusiastic, excited about this coming season. I'm very optimistic. We can get us 10, 11 wins.
Before I give Sapphire our closing words, I want to say again, our sponsor, Recruit Runner. Run your recruitment. Kids, go log in to recruitrunner.com. Our sponsor, uh, T County Browns backers. Want to say hello to them. Sapphire, you have the floor to close us out.
I just want to thank you, gentlemen, for letting me be a part of this beautiful thing. I love all of you. I need to get my new Shador Sanders jersey, number 2, followed by Fano in Boston. And remember to ask Coach Stump for his autograph.
Oh,
Love you
one more
guys.
point. I got one more point. Sorry, I wore my Chubb tonight.
Oh,
Hopefully we can. We got if we have an open roster spot. Maybe we could bring him back one last rodeo.
such a
Coach,
sentimentalist.
Coach Stump, hit your boy Chubb. Tell him we need him back in Cleveland.
Yeah, well, they need to hit him. He would love to be back. Especially when you have back coming back off of an injury and then a kind of scat back. Nick would definitely fit in there, hopefully with a better offensive line.
Ro, you should start that campaign.
I just did when I said that to Stump.
Put the call in. Yeah.
We're gonna work on it. Thank you, everyone. Stump Talk Podcast, Running Back University.
Good night, everyone.
Good
Good
night.
night.